It's Tuesday afternoon on the New York Stock Exchange, and here we just saw the Dow break 23,000. That is the record level. So joining me now is Alan Valdes of SilverBear Capital, and he'll weigh in on the latest earnings. Alan, great to have you here today.
Remy, thanks for having me.
Well, here we are. The Dow broke 23,000, so it is a momentous occasion. But we did see earnings come in better than expected for some of the big names, so that's what we're seeing right now. But given that we have more earnings to go through, what do you expect to see?
Well, okay, you're right. The earnings so far, we've had 35 companies report, so it's still early, but on the revenue side, about 76% have beat. On the other top line, about 86% have beat on the earning line. So basically, they've been strong like last quarter. It's still early, but over the next few weeks, over the next 5 days, we get 178 companies reporting, of which 55 are S&P companies. So it'll be a busy week coming up.
And indeed, it may be too soon to get too excited, but when we look at the financials, we're seeing Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley beat today, but we have to keep in mind that the bond trading revenue has been lower for the big names. And when we look at healthcare, we will still be watching out for what comes out of D.C., but later this week, we'll see what happens to tax reform in terms of the Senate. So given that we'll keep our eyes on what happens down in D.C., what is the most important thing to keep in mind?
Well, earnings are, of course, the most important thing to keep in focus. And you're right, we saw Goldman Sachs beat on the bottom and top line, but still, that trading revenue, which is so prevalent throughout the houses, big houses, was down like 26% year over year. So basically, we'll be watching those things. The traders here in the street feel taxes are going to be passed, whether it's 20%, 25%. It's a midterm election year. I don't think anyone really wants to vote against a tax cut for the average American. So I think you'll see that coming when we'd hope we get it before 2018. But if we don't, we don't, you know.
And very quickly, earlier today, we heard that Canada as well as Mexico rejected the U.S. proposals for NAFTA. And the U.S. dollar did get a boost on expectations, or rather speculation about the next Fed chair. So how are you factoring that into your overall strategy?
Canada and Mexico, we kind of thought they were going to reject it, but they still want to do negotiations, so it's not done yet. And as far as Yellen goes, I mean, Yellen's been pretty good. We've liked her, basically. It's still up in the air who the next head's going to be. But, I mean, they're throwing Cohen around. They're throwing other names around. So, basically, we'll have to wait and see. But those two issues are big. That's no question about it. But the taxes and the earnings are what's going to move this market. The only thing I worry about, if you look at the ratio now, the bull-bear ratio, 4 out of 5 are now on the bull side, okay? Which sounds great. But you got so many buyers out there that when this market turns around, you're going to have more sellers than buyers probably. That's where we start to worry, because now it's getting a little out of whack, a little frosty here.
Okay, Alan, well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for your insight as always.
Thanks, Remy.